Bam drops 83 points, but Stephen A stays silent. Why the double standard? Luka scores 73 and gets roasted. Stephen A's reaction proves it's all about bias.
But 83 points is 83 points, and Bam Adebayo is one of the best people that you could ever meet in professional sports. He's a really good guy. He's a three-time All-Star.
83.
When you look back at the last decade of NBA basketball, one thing stands out right away. Huge scoring games have become a big storyline in the league. During that entire time, only 6 players managed to score 70 or more points in a single game, which is extremely rare. But if you look only at the 2020s, there have already been 5 different 70-point games. Joel Embiid scored 70 points. Donovan Mitchell exploded for 71. Damian Lillard also reached 71. Luka Doncic went even higher with 73. And now Bam shocked everyone by putting up 83 points in a single game. That number immediately put Bam into historic territory. 83 points would be the second highest scoring game in NBA history, passing the legendary 81-point game by Kobe Bryant. Whenever numbers like that appear, the entire basketball world stops and pays attention. But the real story isn't just the huge scoring total. The interesting part is how people reacted to it, especially someone like Stephen A. Smith.
But this is a day that he deserves to be celebrated because he's one of the good guys that goes about the business of grabbing his lunch pail and showing up to work every day and doing what he can to be the best that he can be.
And this is where things start to feel a little strange. If you remember Luka Doncic's 73-point explosion 3 years ago, Stephen A. Smith reacted very differently. His response was extremely harsh and almost dismissive. He kept downplaying the performance and even questioned how legitimate it really was. Again and again, he suggested that Luka's historic night wasn't as impressive as it looked. But when Bam dropped 83 points, that same critical energy suddenly disappeared.
What transpired last night in Atlanta was disgraceful. It made me feel like let's just go out and get somebody that don't want. You don't have to play defense. All you got to do is play offense. You don't have to play defense. That's what the hell took place in Atlanta last night. There's a difference.
Instead of the usual loud criticism, outrage, and dramatic reactions we've seen in the past, the response this time felt completely different.
Bam Adebayo putting up 83 points. That's the second most points scored in a single game in NBA history.
And honestly, Stephen A. Smith could have easily criticized Bam's game if he wanted to. When you look closely at that fourth quarter, it raised a lot of questions. For many basketball purists, it seemed chaotic and even a bit embarrassing for the sport. Yet, the intense criticism that Luka Doncic got never appeared for Bam. The difference was impossible to ignore. So, let's take a moment to look at this clearly.
You know, he hit 7 3-pointers. He ended up with 83 points, second all-time to Will Chamberlain, surpassing Kobe's 81 points. And in the end, what it comes down to is that, hey, 83 points is 83 points. He went out there and did what he was supposed to do. And even though he didn't shoot 50% from the field, last time I checked, Doggy, shooting 48, 47% from the field is not bad either. He hit 20 or 43 shots, okay? It wasn't like it was 13 or 43. He hit 20 or 43 shots. That's close enough, okay?
Stephen A. Smith's reaction to Luka Doncic's 73 points versus Bam's 83 points was dramatically different. When Luka scored 73, Stephen A. was loud, explosive, and openly critical. He even suggested Luka's performance was fraudulent and a disgrace to basketball. But when Bam dropped 83, the tone completely flipped in the opposite direction. The funny part? Bam's performance actually gave critics plenty of material to attack. If you compare the two games, especially the fourth quarters, the difference becomes clear very quickly. Luka's 73-point game against the Hawks stayed competitive the entire time.
Everybody knows they've witnessed history.
Oh, my goodness. This is one of those things you have to see.
Careful.
43 shots, 43 free throws.
Every one of Luka's points mattered, and the game stayed within single digits. He went 16-4-16 in the fourth quarter, scoring exactly when his team needed him most. Now look at Bam's game against the Wizards. Most of the fourth quarter wasn't competitive at all. Miami had already blown the game wide open. Bam added 21 points in the fourth, but 14 of those came while Miami was already up by more than 20. And when the game was actually within single digits, Bam scored 0. Yet, many NBA media voices kept pushing the same arguments over and over.
And they were like, no, Bam has 77. And I was like, huh? And then I watched the last 3 minutes, and that was a different type of basketball.
You've probably heard it everywhere. 83 points is 83 points. It doesn't matter how you get them. But if you truly respect the history of basketball, that argument falls apart fast. The truth is simple. How you score your points absolutely matters. The context matters, the pressure matters, and the moment matters. When analysts compared Bam's performance to the other 16 different 70-point games in NBA history, the numbers told an even more revealing story.
But it gets to a point where you have to respect the game. And I think there was moments in this game where it was not respected.
In transition, Doncic drops it in, count the basket. And a free throw coming. He's going to be shooting for 70.
And I was like, huh. Then I watched the last 3 minutes, and it was a completely different type of basketball that I in several key stats. Bam's game ranked near the bottom of that historic list. Field goal percentage. Near the bottom made field goals. Near the bottom three-point percentage. Also near the bottom, the only area where Bam stood out was free throws attempted. So what actually happened that night? It wasn't a player catching fire and dominating all 4 quarters. Instead, it looked more like a massive volume performance, with an enormous number of shots and free throws piling up, and once again, the 4th quarter became the biggest talking point. For many viewers, it felt slow, forced, and hard to watch. Compare that with Luka's 73-point game. That one stayed tight until the final minutes, with both teams fighting every possession.
Remaining in this game, Luka gets through the defenders, powers up, scoring! 72 for number 77. Dude for Real Madrid at age 16.
But the fans didn't want what we saw last night in Atlanta. Did you see that? I mean, that was a layup. That was just, listen, that was a
it was like the All-Star game.
The Atlanta Hawks, no wonder why y'all stink.
Every basket Luka Doncic scored felt natural and part of the game's flow. That's why his 73-point game was widely praised across the league. Much like Kobe Bryant's legendary 81-point night, Luka's scoring eruption felt authentic and unstoppable. Bam's 83 points, however, looked very different to many critics. Not natural, not organic, but manufactured and artificial. When analysts compared all 16 historic 70-point games side by side, Luka's performance ranked first in efficiency. That's a level of dominance that goes far beyond the final number on the scoreboard. Looking at the numbers closely tells a very different story when you consider efficiency metrics. Luka's 73-point game sits near the top of historic scoring nights.
Look at that, 43, man. Rob, if you could have got 43 shots up, I might hit 200.
And I saw I only made 6 threes, but 40 free throws or something like that. Tells the story right there. And the Washington Wizards.
Made field goals. 11th three-point percentage. First total three-pointers made. 3rd true shooting percentage. First free throws taken. 15th, second to last among big scoring games. What this shows is clear. Luka's 73 points came from a natural heater, a scoring rhythm where everything clicked and the game flowed perfectly.
Which there's 9 guys, Wilt did it 5 times. There's 9 guys over 70. He's by far the worst shooting percentage. 22 threes. 22 threes in the game?
Don't have the gravity of playing in games that are really... They were defenseless for most of the night. Bam for 3. 1 on the shot clock.
It looked like a superstar catching fire and putting on an all-time performance in real time. Bam's 83 points, on the other hand, felt very different. That night seemed more like a massive shot volume game with endless trips to the free throw line rather than pure scoring brilliance. For true basketball fans, watching that kind of game can feel rough. The box score looks amazing, but the actual experience of the game tells a different story. When we talk about watchability, iconic moments, and games people remember forever, this contrast becomes clear.
But when you shoot 43 times and shoot less than 50%, when you shoot 43 free throws, and you go 7 for 22 from 3 against a horrendous team, and you're in the game in the last 5 minutes, and Spoelstra's fouling the Wizards to get more possession so he can score 83 points, that's not the way it should be.
That's where the comparison gets really interesting. Sure, Bam's 83 points are officially in the record books. No one can take that away. But when you look at how he scored those points, the excitement just wasn't there. The first quarter didn't feel special.